What's the closest thing to magic in existence? Wireless technology and radio. Point A to point B with no physical connection? Witchcraft. Speakers. It is just so crazy that magnets connected to thin paper-like materials can vibrate in a way that can recreate exact sounds, music. Voices with just a little electricity. Quantum physics. I understand literally 0% of it. But I watched a documentary the other night and it is basically magic edit. I answered it further down, but since people keep asking, it was Einstein's quantum riddle, Nova. Season 46. Episode 2. I always think this about planes. Vehicles in general to a lesser extent. But especially planes. We can travel across oceans and mountains in giant metal birds. It's remarkable when you think about it, even from the perspective of humans a couple of centuries ago. Let alone humanity's beginning. Dreams. I mean, I know the brain puts together a bunch of information from the day to make them. But how does our brain come up with stuff that almost always defies normality? Also, how can we feel like we're moving in a dream while we're perfectly still IRL? Edit. Thanks for the gold. Kind stranger. I'm still relatively new to Reddit, so it's absolutely insane to me that this has happened. Code. I can make a huge array of things out of literally just writing undecipherable incantations in a magic book. Mapping apps. It's hard to believe that you can enter 2 addresses anywhere in the world and instantly get an exact route between them. Some sort of wizardry is involved. Everything is magic. Can't think of another timeline where I can speech to text on a device that will have hundreds, maybe thousands of other humans read my thoughts across this piece of rock being kept in orbit in this vast darkness. Déjà vu. It makes you feel like you're in the Twilight Zone with seemingly no concrete explanation as to why. Smartphones. Like how you fit all that internet in a brick is beyond me. Edit. Thanks for the replies. But chill. Guys. I made this comment mostly as a meme winking face. As someone who spent hours upon hours in a darkroom learning how to develop film and enlarge images to make prints. Digital photography and Photoshop Lightroom are literally magic. The double slit experiment. It's actually a real-life magic trick. Seeds. It's pretty mind-boggling how something the size of your fingernail can grow into a tree. With only some dirt, water and sunlight. Birth. You weren't here first. Then you became a cell. One cell. Then you became the version of yourself today. It's fascinating to think about. I always believed that words are our magic. You can break a person or save them. Inspire change or swindle the mind. There's so much you can do with words. Video. The crazy sequence of events that goes into even a simple video sequence. From capturing the footage to showing it on a screen. Absolutely blows my mind to where I cannot for the life of me fathom being the first person to even conceptualize it. Quantum mechanics. I love Newtonian physics. But when you delve into QM, makes me feel like a child again. Full of wonder with how little we really understand. I think it's pretty amazing and magical how our body heals itself. You scrap a knee. Few hours later you have a scab. And then it's gone if you leave it alone in a day or 2 or however long. Time dilation. In short, gravity up time big time. Wouldn't recommend flying next to a black hole if you don't want to skip years on Earth. The fact that the core subatomic particles are just vibration. All of reality is built on that. Nothing's solid. It's just that some things are closer together on a molecular level. A change in perspective. You can turn a bad situation into a good situation simply by shifting your perspective. Science. It's the closest thing we have, at least. It's a discipline that can allow you to harness forces to a powerful end. You need to define magic properly though. Physics. It is so crazy unbelievable. But it's normal for us. Take gravity. An invisible force that is strong enough to pull light in some cases. And is critical to our existence. How about magnets? They literally can hover. Also, they can propel objects to a not insignificant % of the speed of light. There is so much more. I dunno. Mammal birth is pretty nuts. Propaganda and public relations. It can make a corrupt fool into a great leader. And a hero into contemptible scum. Not in reality. But in people's minds. The only reality that matters in politics. I think that real, shamanic magic probably worked this way. And it's all very well until the great leader turns out to be a clown or the coronavirus hoax comes to your town. Or people you've been taught to hate have setbacks and it's God's will, but then something worse happens to you again and again and your friends pull back because if God punished you, you must be evil. Magic's that way, isn't it? Literature. It makes me go on trips without using drugs. The closest thing to magic is the human intellect. Not in the trickery of modern magicianship but more along the lines of stealing fire from the gods. Our technologies are the creations of new modes of empowerment. Bro, if anyone went back 100 to 200 years or anything and said we've got tiny boxes that hold the history of the world and nearly all of its knowledge on them, people would totally think that's magic. So basically any piece of tech could be magic. It's all in perspective. Mathematics. If you told a caveman there was a language that would revolutionize the world, that if you spoke the right words it would make sure you had enough food for a tribe of 8 billion people, economics. Would design spears that can kill people by the millions, nuclear fission. Understand how the very heavens moved, general, special relativity. And could even predict the future, linear algebra used in machine learning. Which would be written in weird symbols, equations. That are written down on weird tablets, blackboards, by quirky people with questionable hygiene, mathematicians, who live in real-life magical schools that you get letters in the mail to see if you go, university. You wouldn't be too far from the truth. Putting a seed in the dirt and it grows into food. Flowers. Etc. Drugs. Get high enough on acid or shrooms and you'll talk to animals and feel energy and see patterns in nature that you wouldn't normally see. Words. Think about it. They're literally sonic frequencies produced by your body that have the ability to influence the very mental state of other people and irrevocably change history. That's very power and metaphysical for something so simple and seemingly powerless. No? Math, physics. You're studying some of the most basic fundamentals of the universe. People spend their entire lives learning it. And by doing so they can gain the knowledge required to do incredible things. By following complicated, esoteric rules. And applying formulas as if they were magic words. The very secrets of reality can be unlocked. All science without explanation. _Sue_. CPR. We discovered a way to literally breathe life back into a person and it requires no technology at all. Imagine the response you would get doing that in 1200 AD. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway. Because bees don't care what humans think is impossible. Programming. You literally write spells to do things for you. DMT. Nothing else even comes close. Probably the first moments of the universe. Or really good card tricks. In practice, magic is whatever we can't understand and explain. Space. I think having the ability to fly is pretty close to magic and you have just that in space. The gift of life. I think of that episode from House. Where he's performing surgery and the baby's hand reaches out to him. His facial expression in awe from the phenomenon says it all. Breathing. Is it just me? Breathing seems so magically. It's so complicated but it's so easy. VR. Think how mind a Roman would be if you put a strange helmet on his head and now he is in a different world. Gravity. An unseen force that prevents us from floating into space. Romantic me always believed that sailing was magic. We can take what is the equivalent of a 10-story building and move it halfway around the world with nothing more than air. Sounds like magic to me. Well, quantum mechanics. Also advanced technology. Whether alien or undisclosed terrestrial technology. I've never tried anything besides booze and weed but I'm sure that drugs feel magical. Especially mushrooms. This might not compare to a lot of the answers here but movies are pure magic. I know it's all fake and that the people are actors. I know a scene might be filmed over multiple days and one shot might not be filmed after the previous shot. However, the good ones trick my brain so well that I invest in the characters and feel like I'm part of the world. They can manipulate emotions. Make you cry. Laugh. Be scared. The most magic part to me though is the feeling you get after a film. You're back in the real world but your mind is still in the world of the film. It's a weird feeling but the great films make you feel that way for a long time. Almost a buzz. TikTok is a form of black magic. Its developers cast an unbreakable cringe spell on 12-year-olds.